Well, if you're looking for Laura Ingraham over the weekend, does anyone know where she was?
Yes, indeed.
She was at a
you were
game.
traveling, weren't you?
Roll Tide roll.
Alabama, you were at the big
They're
game.
back in the playoff hunt.
It's a bucket list. It's a bucket list deal for me, Brian. You should know this. My mom was a big Bear Bryant fan. And so one of my bucket list items was to meet Nick Saban before an epic game. And I was blessed to be able to meet the coach briefly. And, you know, I gave him just a little advice on the offensive line, and he took it, so they won.
Right. Work, you know? I think you should listen to you more often.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck?
I didn't know you're much of a blocker. I know you're a verbal tackler. So that'll be fine.
Offensive tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, offensive tackle. No safety for me.
Well, let's get offensive now.
Sure.
Right.
You're on the offense on Twitter. You have tweeted out, remember the candy Goobers? We really need a new candy called Grubers. They're really expensive with a bitter aftertaste.
Yeah, you could throw those at the movie theaters. There were great candies to throw, Goobers and Jujubes.
Yeah.
You could throw the Grubers, and they really hurt.
They do. Right.
Yeah.
A nut on the inside. You know, it's curious. Over the last week or so, the White House has been going, oh, we don't know anything about that guy. He was just on the fringe. He had nothing to do with it. Forget the millions we gave him. Until, listen to this. This is juicy. Here's Barack Obama back in 2006 talking about, in fact, bragging about how he stole a bunch of his ideas from guys just like and including Professor Gruber.
You've already drawn some of the brightest minds from academia and policy circles. Many of them I've stolen ideas from liberally. People ranging from Robert Gordon to Austin Goolsbee, John Gruber, my dear friend Jim Wallace here, who can talk, I think, who can inform what are sometimes dry policy debates with a prophetic voice.
Well, there you go. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's great to see Elizabeth back. Elizabeth,
Yes.
It's wonderful to see you. We missed you.
Well, I've been watching you.
Oh, well, we missed you so much. It's so great to see you. But first of all, guys, that is an Obama double. That's not really Obama. And this is just part of the Fox News obsession with tearing down Obama. Okay, so that's really not him. But look, this happens all the time with Obama, right? He pretends he didn't say something, then the video surfaces, and then they try to just move on to the next agenda item. And then undoubtedly they will say, we're facing real problems in this country. We need to get Americans back to work, and talk radio and certain cable news outlets are just, they're fanatical on this topic. They're going to go on the attack against anyone who raises this question. But Mr. Gruber is an ally of this administration, a paid advocate who was sold to us as an objective expert. And for all of our friends who are watching how all these other debates are playing out right now, like immigration reform, I would remind everyone that when you hear objective expert, be very careful, because when they say X is going to happen, usually Y or Z happens. Right. So it's infuriating. I think the American people understand this now. This is based on a total fraud, Obamacare, and now Mr. Gruber is mysteriously silent, I understand, after Fox tried to get him to speak.
Yeah, and you understand to say, but what I think is what really struck home, especially when it broke last week, is everything Jonathan Gruber said is everything that people were worried about Obamacare being. He mentioned it, the lack of transparency, how we were told one thing but it was actually something entirely different.
Bingo.
So David Webb decides, who's usually a Sirius Radio and a contributor here, I'm going to ask Mr. Gruber, who's so loquacious, to answer a few questions. Let's see how that went.
Oh, good.
You've had lots to say to the media. What about talking to us? We just want to talk to you.
No, thank you.
Do you think the American people would have actually bought into Obamacare without all the deception for the CBO scoring?
I have no comment.
If you're telling the truth, why are you apologizing as you did for being honest about what was done to get Obamacare passed?
I have no comment.
Professor, come on, one last chance. Just have a conversation. Professor, do you really think the American voters are stupid?
No comment.
What about the Obamacare? Is that just a hoax on the American people?
Surprised he didn't talk?
Nothing to say.
Well, look, someone like a Gruber is perfectly happy behind closed doors, guys, trashing the intellect of the American people.
In an ivory tower.
Yeah, and so does it surprise me that when he's kind of exposed and all of this is exposed, everybody suddenly clams up? Again, I think we all should be very careful about deals struck behind closed doors where there really is no transparency, and all these broad proclamations about how certain pieces of legislation are going to expand the economy or lower costs, when we the people don't have a bird's eye view into the legislative process, the horse trading that's going on, and the real justification for why we're passing particular laws. And with Obamacare in particular, we were told one thing, and it ended up being something completely different. And all of you guys, and yours truly and a number of others on this network, were proclaiming the truth and were vilified for it. We're not going to get apologies, but I think the people watching, they know what time it is.
It was just so amazing, Laura, that the Democratic Party denied they voted with the president and for the president during the midterms, and that bombed out. And now the president's denying one of the architects of Obamacare was actually related to the actual construction of the bill, which is now a law, and that's going to bomb out. I just can't believe he's going to get away with it.
Gruber's not going to be forgiven.
We were Grubered. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. Go do your radio show as you do.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Thanks,
Roll
Laura.
Tide.